If there's one business skill that most entrepreneurs I've ever met absolutely hate, it's the idea of selling things. The idea of selling and feeling sleazy just drives them crazy. They can love their craft, love what they do, but the very word sales makes them want to run for the hills. Unfortunately, it's one of the non negotiable business skills you have to have and have to develop. So, this is lead generation and sales I'm lumping together here. So lead generation is how you get the at bats, the people to talk to have a chance to give your sales presentation to. Now, the first thing to know about lead generation is that you're going to have a conversion percentage drop off as they go through the steps. What I mean by that is, let's say you talk to 100 people. Not all of those are going to be a perfect fit. By the time you've talked to them, maybe half of them have been disqualified from moving forward. They didn't answer back. They were uninterested. They weren't actually your target market. So you went from 100 down to 50. At the next step, maybe you're trying to set an appointment with those people. Maybe only 10% of those move on to the next step. Out of those 10%, maybe only 5% disappear, 95 say yes, and maybe only half of those actually show up to the appointment that you sold them to. So there's this drop off that happens. So lead generation is how we fill the top of that bucket to go through all those steps. Now, the better you're selling and your conversion percentage at every single step, the less people you have to have. If you have that same 100 people and you have an 80% conversion rate because you're having better quality traffic, a more tailored presentation, now 80 of those move on to the next step. So you need a lot fewer leads the better your sales process is. The second thing is if you have a really good subscription based business, and this can be anything from a coffee shop to a plumber to a car repair place, think of your business as a subscription, as in how many days a month is the average person going to come get a cup of coffee from me that is my loyal customer? Maybe that's 3 days a month. Now you can do the math and say, how can I keep that customer happy coming back those 3 times? And how can I get enough customers that I have a subscription that's going to fill the weekly needs of my business's cash flow? So that subscription business helps. And in that way, you have some people that come back around through again. So you need less throughput of people. That's the basics of lead generation as it relates to sales. Now, onto the sales part itself. I'm going to tell a story. Recently, I saw two different people, and they lived in England, and they had launched a boutique farm fresh flower bouquet service. And so what their idea was is that they were going to set up these beautiful flower arrangements out of locally grown flowers of the season. They were cousins. One of the women was really great at growing beautiful flowers. The other was a great florist at arranging them. Unfortunately, between the two of them, they had zero ideas on how to sell. They were doing no selling whatsoever. So they grew this beautiful field full of flowers that was wonderful. They had a florist who could arrange them into wonderful arrangements, but they hadn't even thought about a customer, how to approach that customer, how to price things, what the customer even wanted, who their customer even was. So the sales process is a non-negotiable to be in business. Now, I say that this is important is that a thing can be a hobby. I really push back against this idea that everything you do needs to be monetized and make money. If you like playing guitar and playing in a band, great. That does not have to be a profession. But now if you say you're a professional musician, then the business skills of selling are a non-negotiable. You have no choice but to make that gap. So if they wanted to grow flowers for fun, for their own enjoyment, to give to friends and family because they liked it, it doesn't have to be a business. But once you're saying I'm running a business, the selling is a non-negotiable sales skill. The final important point here, now that I've made it clear it's non-negotiable, is that it's actually really, really basic. Here's the thing. In different sports, you have plays. In basketball, you're inbounding the ball. Your team has specific plays that they have set up because this happens over and over and over again. So why recreate the wheel each and every time? They already know the general status of how things are going to go. Sales is the same way. They're always the same few steps. There's the initial contact with the customer. There's the needs analysis. What is it this customer needs? How do I find that information out? There's the sales presentation, how I can solve those needs. There's the closing or the asking for the sale. Will you give me money for this? Yes or no? In this, there might be some objections, people saying, I don't really think so. It's too much money, and how you overcome those objections as part of the closing. And then once that's done, the sale is completed. I would consider an ongoing nurture and a follow-up, the final part of that sales campaign, again, to use that subscription model to loop back around again. So ignoring the business side of things and not doing sales is what's going to separate you from success and failure. You have to figure this out, and I promise there are ways to sell without feeling sleazy. If what you provide has true value, don't you have an obligation to get that in front of people who can actually use it and not let them fall for the traps of your competitors? I think so. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, check out the rest of the videos on the essential skills you need to be a business owner. Have a great day.